Who invented the mosquito coil? And what is it actually made of?
There's a fantasy coffin tradition in Ghana. Don't know what we're talking about? We'll explain everything.
These days, it's an open secret that professional wrestlers are just faking it. There's actually a special word for that. We'll let you in on the secret.
And finally, in this episode, we look at the origin of the word serendipity and what it has to do with a Persian fairy tale.
Hello and welcome to REMORANDOM, a celebration of uncommon knowledge and everything interesting. I'm Remo Dufresne.
And I'm Claudia Chanshaw.
So, Claudia, REMORANDOM 5, the blue one, is due at the printer on Monday week. And
Oh, golly.
yeah, it's a big week. I've actually only finished writing the last story about sumo wrestler's life yesterday morning. But now is the fun bit. It's like there's 90 chapters and they all need to be edited so that they fit into the book. And there's always, a paragraph that has to be sacrificed here and there. But there's also the, gee, that picture is not quite right. Can we do this picture? So it's really tweaking and fun and visualization, but there's lots of work involved.
And you've got a team of elves who help you with this process, don't you?
Oh, there's a huge organization behind me. I'm just sitting on the shoulders of giants all the time. But anyway, so that's one thing happening.
It's pretty demanding to be a friend of yours, isn't it?
I ask a lot. I know I do. I also this Saturday, so a bit of parental boasting here. Our daughter Lola, who is an artist and jeweler and mechanical engineer, has a work in something called the Smuck Biennale in the Dolomites, and it's opening this Saturday. We won't be there, but she will. And
Exciting.
Yeah, very exciting for her. It's kind of her first big public art win, and there's a sweet little video. I'll put some pictures up in the edit so you can see it, and I'll have a link to it. But Melanie's going to go in September to help her bump it out. And I'll stay here, the martyr, holding the fort. But I might
after the dog.
But the deal is we can't afford for both of us to go. But I might actually upgrade my office chair from this one that we found on the side of the road to an Aeron chair, which is the subject of a REMORANDOM chapter, by the way. I've always regretted selling that second-hand Aeron chair, so it's time for me to maybe dip my foot back into that Herman Miller pond.
So where are you going? What suburbs are you going to comb to find another one on the street?
Oh, I've been talking to sort of, various nefarious importers and other. But yes, I just spend so much time sitting down. I figure it's probably a decent investment in my coccyx. Can you spell that for me later? Yeah.
K-O.
No, it's not a K.
X.
That is so wrong. I can't tell you.
I didn't read about that in REMORANDOM, so my mind is full of smush.
Yeah. Oh, I got some nice feedback. Well, from our Substack, one of our Substack readers. He's in the General Thinking Network, which is how he came to be a subscriber to the remorandom.com Substack. If you're not on it, you should get on it. Yesterday's email was about toilegami, like origami, toilet paper origami, how...
Yes.
Yeah, not just the little folded thing that when you're in a hotel that the cleaner does to sort of prove that they've cleaned your bathroom. But the more elaborate... Anyway, he sent me an email saying, that he was really enjoying it. And I said, thanks for your feedback. And he said, I'm genuinely as excited reading what you are publishing as when I first read Ralph Kaplan's By Design. You are publishing content that is educational, fun, thought-provoking, and making me see the world through a different lens. Keep it up. Ronnie. So thank you, Ronnie, in the West
Wow.
Village in New York City. So
Thanks, Ronnie.
I
And
know.
I would call that a testimonial for the website,
I
my
know,
friend.
I know. I've already turned it into a T-shirt. Anyway, speaking of T-shirts, we also sell a mosquito coil T-shirt. But mosquito coils, one of those things growing up here in Sydney, for me, summer holidays on at Pittwater or Hawkesbury or whatever, was always associated with mosquitoes and the dark green burning coil, the smell of it, on the veranda, the mosquito nets, the coil. It's just a beautifully evocative thing for me, and I think for others as well. So I was curious about where they came from. It so happens that they were invented in Japan at the end of the 19th century. Uyama Eshiro was actually in the business of importing mandarins. Oh no, exporting mandarins. But then some Japanese guy who was the founder of Keio University introduced him to a seed trader in the United States. And this seed trader had the seeds for this flower that kind of looked a little bit like a daisy, white petals with a yellow middle. But what they found is that when you grind up the center, there was something in those flower heads that proved to be lethal to insects. And so the active component of this little flower is called pyrethrins, and they attack the nervous system of all insects, and they stop female mosquitoes from biting. So it's a good thing. So he decided to import those seeds to Japan and grow the flowers and mash them up with starch and kind of create initially what it was like an incense stick imbued with this ground up flower stuff, which kept mosquitoes away effectively. But the only downside was the stick only took 40 minutes to burn down, so it wasn't long enough protection. But in 1895, his wife, Yuki, suggested that he could make the sticks much, much longer and then coil them into a spiral. Voila. You
Anya
have them.
Yuki.
Anya Yuki, yes, she's the brains in the operation. I need her to work with me here in REMORANDOM. So the coils were a total hit, and they initially were hand rolled. Only in 1957 did they start being rolled by a machine. So since then, not a whole lot has changed about the Uyama's Kincho brand coils, including that deep green color. I don't know if you've seen. You can
I know
buy
it very well.
But you can buy coils from, the local servo and stuff or whatever, and they are really It really disappoints me when I open them and they're black or something like that. They really need to be that dark green color to pass muster in Remo world anyway. So after World War II, his company, which was now headquartered in Osaka, established joint venture companies all throughout Asia, including China, Thailand. So that's why each country chose another, animal graphic to stick on its box. There was white crane, pug cat, and zebra. They were the Chinese brands. Tiger was from Malaysia. The fish was Hong Kong, and Taiwan had a cock. So all of the animals of the world united in this noble quest to kill mosquitoes. So they continue to sell well. Old school nostalgists like me buy them, but also when there was the great earthquake in Japan and power shortages, people decided they couldn't leave their air conditioners running all night. So that was the way that they had thus far been keeping the mosquitoes away. So they actually had to sort of bulk up on the coils again to take the place of the constantly running air conditioners. So it's a nice looking thing. It's a bit of nostalgia, but
Yeah.
does the job. And, the internet is full, Facebook seems to be full of like fiendish ways of killing mosquitoes. But, sometimes the old school way is the best. Anyway, so that's
I
mine.
go along with that. You know what's annoying though? When you open your new packet of mosquito coil and it's all broken, and
Yeah,
it's because it hasn't traveled well until you open it up and go,
I
oh,
know.
okay,
I know. And what do
broken.
you do with the broken bit? Well,
What do you do?
I
You
have
got
a
a trick?
solution for that. I have a solution for
What's
that.
that?
A crock holder. So a crock holder, we used to sell them in the store. It's basically someone up in far north Queensland got some heavy duty wire and folded it into this contraption that basically is a pincer. And
Ah,
so you pinch it open and then you clamp it onto whatever piece of the broken mosquito cord you want to burn, and you just like sit it down. So basically, there's no longer any wastage of broken mosquito coil. So problem solved, Claudia.
so it's
I'll,
kind of
I'll
like
see if I
in
can
the
find you one. I'll
all
get you
right. So
one.
it's like in the old druggy parlance, like it's like a roach clip. Is that
It's a
what it is?
giant roach clip that kills mosquitoes.
Okay, I'm with you. Don't ask
Yeah.
me why I know about
Forget
that.
forget better mousetrap. It's like better mosquito trap.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Okay, problem solved. Well, there are a lot of problems in life, and they say that there's nothing more certain in life than death and taxes.
I was trying to work out how you were
And
going to get there, but that's
And we've all got to go sometime, don't we? We know it's inevitable. But what if you could exit this world in an exotic, custom-made fantasy coffin? What do you think of that? How about a coffin that looks like a zucchini or a running shoe? Well, in Ghana, in West Africa, you can go out in style in an elaborate burial casket that represents the dearly departed's interests, your hobbies, your occupation, or maybe your status in life. So, this tradition of creating fantasy coffins originated from the Ga people in the greater Accra region of Ghana. And the chiefs of this area used to be transported around in sedan chairs, which are called palanquins, and they carry them around on these during
yeah,
festivals.
the shoulder
Well,
thing. Yeah.
that's right. So very important people got to ride up on these in these sedan chairs. So in the 1950s, a fellow called Seth Kane Kwai was a young carpenter. And he made a palanquin, one of these sedan chairs, in the shape of a cocoa pod for one of these highfalutin chiefs. Well, sadly, unexpectedly, the chief died before the festival. So what do? They bury him in the palanquin, which is the cocoa pod. And at his funeral, he's lying there in his cocoa pod, and everybody's going, I like it. I want one
I want one
myself.
of those.
So not long after this, Kane Quay's grandma dies. Now, she'd grown up in the coastal area near Accra's airport, and she'd always been mystified by aeroplanes that were flying overhead. She'd be looking up. That was me looking up, if you haven't got the video of us. And she'd never been on an aeroplane. So young Kane Kwai thinks, you know what? I remember how enthusiastic people were for the chief's incredible coffin. So I'm going to make her something that she was never able to have in life. He fashions her a coffin that is an aeroplane that she can fly into the afterlife. Well,
Nice.
local people are very, very impressed, and they start to request unique coffins for themselves. Fishermen are requesting coffins in the shape of fish or boats. There was a farmer who asked for an onion. So the coffins soon become one of Ghana's most distinctive traditions. So now the tradition evolves. Skilled artisans, including Kane Kwai's descendants, have gone into business making these crazy personalized coffins. They fashion them with handmade tools, carving, sanding, and then hand painting. Now, Kane Kwai didn't invent this new art form, but he certainly democratized it because it was usually only for the elite. But it comes at a price if you're elite. So they could be up to 1,000 US dollars. Now, considering farmers only earn about $3 a day, this is out of reach. So community members often chip in and put the money together so that they can pay for the making of your unique coffin. So it really pays to make friends in Ghana. Now, these coffins are considered works of art. They've been exhibited at the Pompidou Centre in Paris, at the new Museum of Modern Art in New York, and as a result of all of that exposure, orders have rolled in for these from more than 20 countries around the world. So you no longer need to be a high priest from Ghana to be buried in one of these, as something that's shaped like a fish, a mobile phone, or a shoe. Now, interestingly, when a very dear friend of mine passed away in Sydney several years ago, he asked his friend before he died to paint his coffin as a Mondrian painting. And so it was a
Oh, wow.
most distinctive coffin I've ever seen. But Remo, if you had a choice and you had a Ghanaian fantasy coffin, what would you choose?
Oh, well, I'm glad you've asked because I've been thinking while you've been talking, a GoFundMe campaign for my coffin would probably be a good thing. But
Yeah. What do you want?
I I was going to say a crab, but that's a little bit sinister. I kind of like eating crabs, but maybe I don't want to be
Yeah.
buried inside a crab. So it's probably some sort of boat. I think for me, it would be more about the graphics than the shape of the thing. I like
Yeah.
my life motto, do good work, have some fun. I think I'd like that to be on there.
That could
And
be your
I'm
epitaph.
very keen that the signwriting be, beautiful and not laser cut vinyl or anything like beautiful hand lettered gold leaf. Let's throw some
Of
gold
course.
leaf and silver leaf in there. What about
Yep.
you, Claudia? Have you?
I was thinking about it. I think I'd have a pretty elaborate Art Deco affair. My
Ooh,
fantasy coffin
on
would be
brand.
like the Chrysler Building. So I'm lying in there, dressed appropriately as well, with a
Right.
little headpiece on,
Siren.
and I'm exactly. I'm lying in the Chrysler Building. I think that'd be a good send off.
Very metropolis. Yeah.
Yes, very
Right.
metropolis. Very.
All right. I'll be there.
Okay.
That
You can
means you
come to
have to
my
die
funeral.
first. You have to die first.
Okay. I don't know if I
I
can
don't know if we can
organize that.
plan that. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Well, I have absolutely no segue into the next topic because it's impossible to go from Ghanaian coffins
Fantasy coffins.
to kayfabe. Kayfabe. Now, this was suggested by one of our subscribers, Alan Jones. I didn't know what it was, but it's a word that it's a term used in professional wrestling to describe the portrayal of events as real or genuine, even though they're fake. Like, professional wrestling, we all know kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge, it's not real. But nobody says it's not real out loud. It's kind of like a Santa Claus thing. So even in professional wrestling, you're either a baby face or a heel. Baby faces are the goodies and the heels are the baddies, right? So, and the culture is such, this suspension of disbelief is such that faces and heels are rarely seen together in public because
Oh.
they have to preserve the kayfabe. The kayfabe is the sort of universal lie that it's all bullshit.
How do you
So
spell kayfabe? How do you spell that?
Kayfabe. So where did that word come from? So there's a
Yeah.
bunch of theories, and each theory is more different than the one before. But one theory suggests it was derived from a manipulation of the Pig Latin term for be fake. So eBay, ekfe. Another theory claims that there actually was a wrestler called Kay Fabian who was mute.
Oh.
And yet another theory suggested by a former mixed martial artist, Kale, I think Sonnen, claims the term came from carnival employees who used to use the alias to save money on collect calls. It was like a code. If I call and say it's a call from Kayfabe, then I'm okay, but I don't have to pay for the call. It's kind of like a
I
signal.
see.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Yeah.
Anywho, with the advent of the internet and wrestling community and the whole sports entertainment movement in pro wrestling, these backstage secrets are harder to keep than they were before because these people have social media profiles and public lives. But they've tried. They've tried hard to do it. But the first public acknowledgement by a major Wrestling Insider that of the staged nature of professional wrestling came in 1989 when the World Wrestling Federation owner, Vince McMahon, or McMahon, as they would say, testified before the New Jersey State Senate that wrestling was not a competitive sport. Now, the reason why he had to do this was because he wanted to avoid interference by the state athletic commissions and all the various costs associated with it being a professional sport. So he basically had to fess up that it was all pretend.
It was make-believe.
Yeah, so he copped a bit of flack from the wrestling community for that. But kayfabe has expanded beyond the wrestling world. There's a certain amount of kayfabe associated in show business feuds. Bob Hope and Bing Crosby were not actual enemies. They were friends, although, in the
road movies.
The shtick, yeah. And also more recently, the talk show host Jimmy Kimmel and Matt Damon. There's been a running joke on Jimmy Kimmel live for many years that he and Matt Damon are arch enemies, but they are actually both friends. So these examples are referred to as neo-kayfabe. So these days, kayfabe is somewhat of an open secret. And I don't know if you saw the 2008 film The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke, where he played like a has-been wrestler. So he makes this kind of comeback, rematch with his historic heel, so the baddie. And throughout the film, the fictitious nature of the bouts is kind of depicted openly to the point where one of the wrestlers cuts his own forehead with a razor just to make it look worse than it was. I grew up on World Championship Wrestling. I was fixated, probably next to Mike Nelson's Sea Hunt. It was my favorite TV program. I can almost name, all of the wrestlers: Mario Milano,
Abdullah the Butcher,
Killer Carl Cox. He killed a man in Texas. They say he killed a man in Texas. Maybe that's kayfabe. I think that's kayfabe.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, we used to love it. We watched it as kids, and the sound effects are and they'd stamp their foot on the canvas as they came down, so that you get the feeling that he came down heavily there, but they were stamping their feet at the same time.
The brain
running into the ropes and then bouncing off again. It's fantastic.
And lots of smashing of chairs and
that's right. I thought Abdullah the Butcher was kind of cute. He sort of had a smooshed up face.
Yeah.
Very funny. Yes. Mario Milano.
Brute Bernard. That was another one.
Brute Bernard. That's it.
He used to walk like a chicken. See what a rich childhood we both had. So
I know. And I think we turned out this way because we watched TV as kids.
Mm-hmm. Always.
It's,
taught me how to multitask.
Yes. Yeah. Well, do your homework in front of the telly. If you can do that, you can conquer the world.
I could listen to Gilligan's Island and do my maths homework at the same times. Yeah.
My brother always used to ask me, how can you do your homework at the same time as watching telly? I go, easy. It's just what you do. So it is. Well, I like that. Kayfabe. That's a new word for me. Kayfabe. It's, Remo, it's kind of serendipitous that we've met.
Yeah. What do you mean?
Well, having this love of crazy 1970s TV and all these popular culture references.
Who knew? Who knew I had a soulmate on the other side of Bondi Junction?
That's right. It's serendipity. And the Merriam-Webster dictionary defines serendipity as the faculty or phenomenon of finding something valuable or agreeable that's not sought for. It's quite a mouthful. Now, this is not sought for, this unusual use of the English language. That's key to serendipity, to understanding what serendipity is. So, for instance, your broke self is not looking for a $50 note in the pocket of that old coat, but ding. Or maybe the solution to your problem in the most unexpected place was a surprise. But that, my friend, is serendipity. And serendipity is also often cited in the context of product invention or scientific discovery. Take, for instance, the Post-it note. Lovely accident. Accidental byproduct of a failed glue experiment. Silly putty. Now, that had to be a failed experiment. They were trying to create a synthetic rubber, and they came up with silly putty. Velcro. Examining under a microscope, little burrs that were stuck to somebody's socks after a bird hunting trip. Aha! Serendipity has given us Teflon, the pacemaker, and the inkjet printer. So serendipity, by its definition, means out of the blue. So where did this funny word come from? Serendipity. The word was first coined by an English writer, art historian, and politician whose name was Horace Walpole. And Horace, in a letter to his friend Horace Mann, no relation, although they're both called Horace, on the 28th of January 1754, in the letter he told him about a startling discovery of a lost painting, just like that. And Walpole compared his discovery to those from an ancient Persian fairy tale called The Princess of Serendip. Now, Serendip is the classic Persian name for Sri Lanka. Now, it's a story that's kind of based on the real life of the Persian king Brahman the fifth, who was ruler of the Sassanid Empire, 420 to 440, so a long time ago. Anyway, it's a very convoluted story featuring the king of Serendip's 3 sons, and it involves this leadership test. And there's a journey, there's a lost then found camel. The princes deduce that it is blind in one eye, missing a tooth, carrying a pregnant woman, and hauling honey on one side and butter on the other. So how do they work all of this out? Elementary, my dear Watson. So apparently, and according to Walpole's interpretation, the princes were always making discoveries of things which they had not in quest of, and they found them by accident and sagacity. So there you have it. That, my friend, is serendipity. Convoluted,
wow, what a
or
mouthful.
what?
What a Persian
I
fairy
know.
tale that is. Oh,
Sheesh, honestly.
but good,
Right.
but very informative. My brain is now full of facts.
Yeah, the princes of Serendip.
Pulling different people together, I'm a big believer in that, as a way to get, fresh thinking. But also got this old friend in New York, Laurie Rosenwald, and she has a workshop called Making Mistakes on Purpose, which is lots of fun. She's written a book about it, and she pulls people together and makes them all get into Tyvek jumpsuits with lots of paint and paper, and she forces them to draw things, crazy things, and not care about the quality, and just making mistakes on purpose. Her big thing is making mistakes on purpose. On that happy accidents, I've actually decided to corral all of those examples and add more. And we have a chapter in the current book that's going to the printer, which is called Happy Accidents. So, the guy who discovered the microwave because there was like a bar of chocolate in his pocket that melted or something when he was doing something else. So, they're wonderful tales and serendipitous. And we love serendipity because that's kind of what REMORANDOM is all about, which brings us to the end of the episode. Oh, boo-hoo. Anyway, you want some serendipity?
Yeah.
Cop some REMORANDOM books available online at remorandum.com. Click on the book tab. While you're there, subscribe to the new Substack. Get your daily dose of uncommon knowledge. Be as thrilled and happy as Ronnie from the West Village, referencing
Yay, Ronnie.
your early
Yeah,
days.
today's yay, Ronnie, and yay, Yuki.
Yay, Yuki, you coil meister.
Yes, the coil queen. And also, you might have even better ideas, if that's even possible, for some great stories for REMORANDOM. So you can send us a note at hello@remorandum.com, or, go to the website and get in contact, and we'd love to hear your ideas.
And, first off the rank for REMORANDOM 6 next year. I don't even want to think about that. But anyway, I'm
Golly gosh.
back onto the tools. Thanks, Claudia. I'll see you later.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.